We're not even a week into the open alpha for Void Hunters, and we've seen some crazy progression in the game so far. There are so many of you out there in the community who are big min-maxers. We got some content creators who are progressing through the story really fast. I've had to spend some time on some other projects this weekend and do some family things, but I'm back on the game this evening and I've managed to beat the prisoner boss, which is basically the final boss for the first chapter of the game, and it was incredibly difficult. I want to show you that footage in this video. I did manage to record it, and I'll kind of talk through a little bit of the strategy. I know there are some videos already out there on kind of how to do it, and probably some of those will be more detailed than mine. So certainly go watch some of those other folks as well. Shout out to Ragewood and Unstable Gamer. I know both of them have already done videos on this, probably a few others out there who have as well. But we're going to take a look at the prisoner boss, and we're also going to probably do some summons as well and just kind of talk about the general feel of the game so far for me. Definitely a couple of things that I'm kind of concerned with or that are annoying or tough to deal with. And one of them is actually the progression to beat the prisoner. It's quite difficult, and if you aren't building your roster the right way or, building tall, I think you're going to run into some problems. If you are trying to build a team and then all of a sudden you get a summon for a champion that you'd rather build and then you start building that team, it's going to be a little bit longer for you to get through that first chapter. And I think that's probably one of my biggest complaints that I have so far about Void Hunters is it's, very progression driven, story driven, and you have to make sure that you have the right characters to get through the story. If you're okay with just kind of meandering through, taking your time, you can certainly build whatever champions you want and, dump resources into them. If you're trying to do things quickly and efficiently, you definitely need to make sure you're building the right hunters very quickly. Don't put too much into additional champions, even if you pull a legendary. I just pulled my second legendary, and I'm a little bit worried about putting too many resources into them unless I feel comfortable about my main squad and how well they're able to push through the campaign. So, a huge resource grind. I complain a little bit about that. It's not that big of a deal. It's the same resource grind that's in a lot of games like this, but you are going to get slowed down. I think a lot of people in the community will get frustrated with these kinds of things, myself included. But I'm having a blast with Void Hunters, really enjoying the strategic elements of it and having to think through these things. Obviously, that does come with a lot of RNG and having to continue to do the same run over and over again, leveling your champions up, maybe if I do this, add this skill, it's going to help me out. And there was definitely a lot of that over the last few days for me to get to the point where I felt like I could be comfortable sitting down and doing a few runs of the prisoner. Took me probably around 35, 40 minutes or so of just finagling with my roster. And you'll see the champion levels when we look through that run in just a moment. We'll jump into the game now, and you can see I just unlocked the quest line for Chapter 2. It's called the Tears of Radiance Lost, and I'm fairly positive that a few people have already beat the end boss for Chapter 2 already. I know I saw a video, I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, from Ragewood, where it looked like either he or someone else that he had coverage from had already taken down the second boss. So I don't know if the storyline opens up and it's a lot easier now, or what the deal is there, but certainly super exciting. And there are a lot of things that you're going to unlock whenever you beat the prisoner. One of those being Galen. I just unlocked him. You can see here, Galen, legendary champion. Really like the kit, and there are a couple of levels where you actually fight alongside him. He's got an AoE, he's got some healing. So kind of an all-around champion, I think. I'm curious to see how he builds up over time and what he's capable of. He is an Archlands champion, and that's definitely something that I have focused heavily on with my account. In my mind, it's kind of the starter group that you're going to be putting together. Regardless of where you branch off to, you're going to be starting out with these guys. And I think the cool thing about what I did with the prisoner is I actually used all champions that you're going to be given, so they're not ones that you have to summon. And so you'll be able to see kind of the baseline for what you can do to beat the prisoner without having to summon anything else. There's still going to be some RNG involved, but the base level, in my mind, that's going to be level 40 across the board with champions. You can see that I almost had everyone level 40 whenever I went in, and I was using Reed, Nadia, Bomar, Robin, and Lilith. Now, a couple of nuances there that we'll talk about as we get into the fight as well, but just wanted to point out the roster here. You can see definitely starting to unlock most of the champions, or at least most of the non-legendary champions. I did get Igravain on my pity poll earlier today. I put a lot of investment into Vikaru, and not as big of a fan as I thought I was going to be of him. I feel like we need more free tribes for him to be good. But at any rate, if we jump over to the summoning stone, I actually have 16 of these epic shards, I guess you would call them, the grit stones. And I thought maybe we could do a 10 pull of these before we jump over to the prisoner fight. So if you're ready, we're going to go ahead and do this. I always get nervous when I do something like this, but I'm super excited. So 10 pull, Call of Reclamation. Let's see what we get. Okay. Oh, we got a legendary. All right. So let's maximum effect here. We'll open the rares first. Definitely need some more of those reeds. I'm trying to max him. Leo's going to be good for getting Raven unlocked. You need a bunch of duplicates of Leo. See what we got with the rares here. Oh, okay. New hunter, Lanth. Now, this is going to be a healer champion, and she's pretty good, but, you know, the elf group isn't exactly great on its own. I want to see, like, some fully built squads of elves. I don't know what they're going to really, like, do the best in. Maybe there's going to be, like, a full-on chapter where you need elves to do well, but Lanth's pretty cool. Let's see what else we've got. Okay, tombs. Don't think I had tombs in the roster yet, so we're continuing to build out the full roster of champions here. Oh, nice, Aidwolf. Have some problems with Aidwolf on some levels. He's pretty tough. So kind of looking to put together a dwarf team as well. And Aidwolf is Archlands, so another champion. You know, if you get Aidwolf early on, I think he's an attacker. He's a pretty strong guy. A couple of skills here. I think he does. Yeah. So we got an AOE with health recovery down on it as well. So pretty nice. And he can also inflict fear on all enemies. So a pretty good kit from what I can tell there. Okay. Moving on, we got another Aidwolf copy. That's cool. Let's see, this is Goran, I think. And then another Aidwolf. So actually, we'll be able to take him up to red stars, or at least one red star anyway. All right, so let's see what we got for the legendary. Super excited. Oh, man. All right, this is one that I really wanted to pull for the account. Johannes, legendary champion, and this one, he's Pandemonium. I think there's a couple of other Pandemonium heroes that have some pretty cool kits. But this one just, to me, kind of epitomizes the game, the Void Hunters. He's kind of got this, I don't know, like Lord of the Rings, Ring Wraith style to him. Really like it, like this missing place where his heart should be. Pretty cool kit. So we'll definitely be diving deep into Johannes whenever I get a chance to level him up. So that's going to be it for the hunter summoning here. We are going to jump over to the footage of the prisoner, and we'll do that to wrap the video up. Okay, so we're going with, like I said, that kind of core group of, we've got, let me move myself out of the way over here. So we're going with Bomar, Lilith, Robin, we've got Reed, and then Nadia. So Nadia is going to be tanking. She's going to provide a decent amount of support in terms of she's going to be giving shields to the team, so that's going to keep you from taking a lot of damage from the prisoner. And also these champions you got to deal with in the first round. We've also got Lilith, who's going to be healing. And again, we're going to talk a little bit of nuance with Lilith as well. And I guess we'll go ahead and talk about that now. So Lilith's vials, there's these little vials that you can click on. Basically, like it's kind of an extra ability that she has. And the more of those vials that she has, the more times you use that ability before you heal, the better the healing effect is going to be. The problem is that it also grants her turn meter, and as she takes turns, it's also going to cycle the turn meter of the prisoner. And you'll see that I avoid using it, once we get over to the prisoner fight, for that very reason. Like, you actually don't want her to have so much turn meter because it's going to, cause some issues whenever you're fighting the boss. So let's go ahead and get started here. And, really the big thing here, you want to be taking out this guy that I have targeted, because he is going to be able to revive the enemy team. Now there's also a couple, the two that are on the edges of the enemies over here. Don't know the name, and I can't click on them. Obviously, I'm watching a replay, but you'll see that they can do a pretty decent amount of AoE. So you got to watch out for that. Obviously, I probably a couple of misplays here in terms of just preventing damage. I probably could have done a better job, but we're just going to continue to clear out this team, and the idea is to try to be as close to healed up as possible whenever you get in there. One thing that I was trying to do on a couple of these runs with Lilith is, on this first set, you can actually kind of gear up for the fight by trying to save all of your best cooldowns and making sure that you have those available. With Lilith here, what I could have been doing is using those vials, cycling her turn meter and making sure that the team was fully healed whenever we got over to the prisoner. Didn't do that on this run, but we still managed to beat it. So again, that just kind of like goes to show you what you'd be capable of if you're just willing to kind of sit through the RNG. So here we have the prisoner, really cool, just kind of aesthetic in general with the prisoner. So I'll pause here. Okay, so big things for you to understand about how the boss is going to work. And you'll see these mechanics playing out, and we'll talk through them as the fight progresses. But you're going to see 4 pillars, and they all have health bars. Those pillars are incredibly important. You want to be careful how you take those pillars down, because each time you take one of those pillars down, it's going to stun the prisoner, and that's going to allow you to kind of reset things. And there's a couple of other mechanics that you want to be looking out for. They are there's going to be a buff and a debuff that are incredibly important. Most of the others don't really matter as much, but basically, as you hit the prisoner, every time you hit him, it's going to add a stack of what's called weak. We already have one on the prisoner right now on the screen. You can see it up here below the health bar. And once you get to, I believe it's 10 stacks of weak, the prisoner can basically cleanse all the weak stacks, and he adds a buff that allows him to do a massive amount of damage. And so it's incredibly imperative that once he cleanses that debuff, the weak debuff, and adds the buff, that you hit one of the pillars and stun him, because when he gets stunned, it's going to basically reset that. So no stacks of weak, no stacks of the strong buff that he gets either, and you can kind of like keep cycling the boss. So every time you drop a pillar, you kind of want to make sure that you have him, you want to be doing like 25% damage each time, or as much as you can, because, once you hit that last pillar, it's really going to be a DPS fight, or I should say like a DPS race between you and the prisoner to see who can, kill the other one first. And usually it ends up being the prisoner. Usually you only get through like the first couple of pillars before he kills your best players. And that's, a point of frustration. Obviously, like Reed ends up going down super quick for me in a lot of these runs. I've also lost Bomar. So you definitely have to be, cognizant of that and make sure that you are, doing your stack management and everything else. You have to make sure that you're pretty much fully healed at any given time. And just make sure that he has as many stacks a week as possible, because early on he is going to do a big like AoE and he'll just go completely crazy on your team. So very important to have those weak stacks so that the damage is manageable and you can get healed back up. All right, so enough of me talking. Let's see the fight in action. And you can see I'm going just straight in on the boss. Being careful, I did use Robin's special there and did a ton of damage to a couple of those pillars. Just trying to use as many of my cooldowns as possible, but you have to be careful of AoE as well, because you don't want to get all of the pillars super far down at once. Now you can see, and we'll pause again here, those stacks of strong, it's got 11 of them. If he hits my team now, it's going to kill somebody. So it basically will end the run. You have to target a pillar immediately. I think I'm going to use the middle special, and that should get the pillar close, and then I'll be able to take it out so that I can stun him, and that will prevent a crazy AoE that's going to kill the team. See what happens. So, yep, there we go. I don't know if I just hit a basic here. And another thing to point out that you will just see there, when you destroy a pillar, it's also going to do a AoE to everybody, including the prisoner and all of your team, as well as all of the other pillars. So keep that in mind as well. Just another mechanic to keep track of. You are going to be taking some damage whenever that happens. So I'm in a precarious position here because, I needed that heal, and even that wasn't enough. I think I end up getting a shield off with Nadia pretty soon. And I was trying to figure out whether to use the AoE or not. I decided to just to have that pillar on the left-hand side up. I think, use that shield there. That was smart. And you notice I'm not using the vials for Lilith. Doing a ton of basics with Bomar. And we're doing pretty good. We got some weak stacks here. Not quite where I want to be, but we're close to half health on the prisoner. So we're just going to continue to go all in. I should use the middle special here. I think I was trying to think through that a little bit. It's a situation where he still hasn't cleansed the weak, so I think I'm going to hit him one more time here. Nope, decided to just go ahead and preempt it, which was probably smart. So he's stunned. We're going to just keep going in as much as possible. I do heal Reed here because he is most of the damage engine to keep things going. I should have used Nadia's Vow way quicker than that, but it is what it is. The run was still successful. So we're at a little bit less than half health, and we also have 2 pillars left. So I felt pretty, like I was getting anxious, kind of nervous. Like I felt pretty confident we were going to handle business here. Definitely going to do another shield, and we're just going to go ahead and go in on the pillar there. So still got all those stacks of weak on the boss. So again, and I actually end up saving my special here because I didn't want to take that pillar out using it. So I wanted to wait until kind of the last minute to use it. Those are the kinds of things you need to think about. Can't remember if I used the special here, so we'll find out. I did go ahead and do that. So basically at this point, as soon as he did that cleanse, I knew I would have the pillar down where it needed to be. So I go basic on that. And now I have a few cooldowns that I can use on the boss and just try to go in as quickly as possible and try to take him out. He does get an AoE off, I think, here, but it wasn't enough. I think I had like just a little sliver left. So Nadia ended up taking him out. So really, really awesome boss fight. I would say fun, but also very frustrating as well. Just trying to push through all of that, and the amount of resets that you have to do, especially since you have to do that fight at the beginning of it. Pretty frustrating, but you saw what we were able to pull with some of these resources that you get and some of the things that you're going to unlock immediately once you defeat this boss. There is a little cache that you can go search right after this boss that's going to give you like a massive amount of resources as well. You get like 2 or 3 epic champions. You get a bunch of the duplicate shards that you can use as well, the universal shards. So, you know, tons of things. Like basically once you get this boss done, it's going to allow you to like really set your account up the way that you want it to. And you get enough XP that you could take up maybe 1 or 2 champions to level 30 or so, I think. So, you know, use those wisely on maybe a legendary that you've pulled into your account or something like that. Let me know what you think about the first chapter of the game. You know, I'm really interested in getting community thoughts on kind of like the rate of progression. You know, is it too fast? Is it too slow? How do you feel about getting so many champions just given to you? I worry a little bit about the health of the game, given that they're giving so many champion copies away. I don't know if they're going to ratchet that down as the next, I guess, once we get to beta, you know, get a little bit closer to actual like global launch. But, you know, those kinds of things I think we'll figure out over time. We are so early in the alpha. I think we need to worry more about bugs and just kind of like the overall feel of the game. But curious to hear your thoughts. Make sure you like the video if you enjoyed it or if you found it helpful, and subscribe to the channel. You'll get access to more videos like this on Void Hunters. I'm also covering DC Dark Legion and a couple of others. So I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video.